can you talk us about your journey for the audience that may be tuning into this who don't know who Richard Dickson is?
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a Z-list celebrity in the G41 postcode. So yeah, south side of Glasgow, grew up in Pollock Shields, electrician to trade. So left school, done that. Got 5 hires, could have went to university, decided it wasn't a path for me. Finished my apprenticeship, didn't really like it all that much. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Stumbled upon different content online, guys like Grant Cardone and stuff like that, who you'll probably have watched the stuff inside our academy and stuff like that. So that spurred me on to start a business. Meeting Grant Cardone and going to that event allowed me to meet a few key people, guys like Paul McFadden and people who are business partners of mine now, been great friends for years. And that kind of took me almost where I am today, you know, building a property business, being involved in other businesses as well, some that went really well, some that didn't go so well. And thankfully none that were like liquidated or ended in fist flying, which was good. But just good lessons, which is always beneficial. And now at this point, 26, probably about 5 years since that point, having, you know, a few good businesses, a pretty cool life, I would say. And yeah, without going over everything in pure, because do you know what I was thinking to myself? I was driving, I was like, oh my God, please don't be like, ask us about what the start of your journey was like, and how did you get in a bit? I was like, oh, can't be asked fucking answering that.
Going through it. Because all that's what I mean, all that content's kind of online, and
of course,
I would imagine most people that will end up listening to this will be people that are familiar with yourself anyway and know your journey. Yeah. So, young guy coming out of school, going in, starting, you're looking at your life and you're going, right, I'm going to become a spark. So there's a bit of story there with your relationship with your dad. I'd like for you to kind of go into that a wee bit, because I think that's, I don't think James knows much about you and for the audience. So you're kind of, it's like, so when you're going at, you're leaving school and you're like, right, what's a good job for me to have? Most people go into trades, particularly guys and all that sort of stuff. So talk us through like the decision making and that, and then the realisation of this is pretty shit and this isn't what I want to do.
Just to pre-frame it for the audience, right, is that everyone has their own definition of what is a good job, right? So this is not my admission of me saying being a spark isn't a good job, right? Because it can be a great job. Like you can make a really decent, my opinion, decent money as a spark, right? But what is good to me might be amazing to somebody else and vice versa, right? So I done my 5 hires in school, got an A, 3 Bs and a C. I'd started my UCAS thing in 5th year and then I never finished it. I just kind of get caught up doing other stuff and was like, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. And, you know, every summer holiday, pretty much throughout my whole time in school, I would work with my dad, not for like the whole summer holiday, but I'd go out 2 or 3 days a week, you know, do a bit of labouring and make a little bit extra money and all that kind of stuff. And I enjoyed it at that point, because on the few days that I had off during the week, the 4 days, I actually had maybe 60, 70 quid, you know, I used to get paid like 20 quid a day basically, but had different bonuses my dad would pay me for different stuff, right? So I would be like, oh, I can go and get chips and cheese and I can get this and that. And like I felt a bit of baller sometimes when you just weren't really.
No, it's crazy.
And,
crazy.
But it's funny that, so, you know, I went through and I said to my dad, I was just sitting thinking about it in my bedroom, and I went and said to my dad, do you think you could get me an apprenticeship? My dad being an electrician, and, you know, my dad is, he has many positives and many flaws like we all do, but the one thing he is fucking excellent at is he is the best spark ever. And by the way, a great dad as well, incredible dad. But taking that out,
a better spark.
Better spark. He's just such a good spark, right? And I said to him, I said, do you think you could get me an apprenticeship? And he was like, I'll ask about. So I'm just expecting my dad to hopefully facilitate me getting a job with someone he knows or someone he used to subcontract with or something like that. My dad was able to get, I can't remember what the funding was called, but he's been able to get it again. My younger cousin now, who's just about to do his trade test to become another one of the Richard Dickson electrical.
And you're like, don't fucking date me.
But it's funny because one of my best mates for school has worked with my dad for years, and he's just about to start his adult apprenticeship now. I think, to jump ahead slightly, me being in business has, I think, motivated my dad a little bit to grow his team and do a bit more and aspire a bit higher. My dad is probably never going to be someone who's got 100 guys working for him. I think the stress would put him in his box, right? But I think it's maybe inspired them a little bit to
seen the value like offloading a bit of work,
100%, and
taking the foot off the gas,
doing a bit more and expanding a bit more and seeing, having wider horizons, I think, right? So my dad ended up getting that funded and saying, look, you can start your apprenticeship with me. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. And that was just how it started. You know, we worked together every single day, basically, for over 4 years. I started my apprenticeship when I was 16.
Right.
It was probably round about this time in 2014.
Roughly,
2013, something like that. 2013, that would have been starting my apprenticeship, because I turned 17 about 6 weeks in, and my birthday's in a couple of weeks' time. So, that's how it started, you know, working with my dad. And it was, when I think about it now, I was also not a shite employee. I'm a really good spark, right? But I was probably quite tough to work with, because, you know, I maybe took for granted some of the things my dad done for me, in the sense that because I was still fighting and training, my dad would be like, I would tell my dad, oh, can I please have this day off on pretty much no notice, because I want to train, I want to do this. And my dad was always very lenient with that. That's been my only form of employment my whole life. Yeah. So that was all I understood. I didn't know what it was like to have a tyrannical
structure.
gaffer. Do you get what I'm saying? So I probably took for granted a lot of it. And now, being an employer and having staff and try to do good by your staff, but also maintain your business and stuff, I think I look back and go, it was actually pretty good to work for my dad. Although we're getting some